July 15th, 2020. Joe here at the Wake Up channel. I appreciate everybody for joining me today. Today's very hot. It's July 15th. It's the middle of the month. I believe it's the hottest that it's probably going to get this year. It could get hotter. I don't know. I was outside trying to do some work, and it's just not happening today. It's just simply too hot. I want to do a really quick video about Nick Cannon. If you don't know who Nick Cannon is, he is an American actor. He's been in a lot of stuff, actually. And I remember him from some of his movies. He's done not really any of his movies that I would consider any of my favorites, but I'm not saying that he's a bad actor or anything like that. I don't agree with anything he says. I do know him from America's Got Talent. I think he did one season with America's Got Talent. I didn't like him. I like Terry Crews. Terry Crews is a very upstanding person, and he's not only very funny, but he's also very wise in everything he says. I should do an entire video on Terry Crews, everything that he's actually been through, and a lot of the perspectives that he has right now on what's going on. He has caught a lot of flack about his feelings on Black Lives Matter and the entire movement. And if you're interested, there's a lot of videos on that. But this is about Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon wants some attention, so he's got some attention. Now, this was actually over a podcast that he did about a year ago. It just recently aired. I don't know why it took so long. Maybe because he knew it was very controversial, but that is the world that we live in right now, where the more controversial, as long as you're on the right side, left side actually, of the conversation, then you don't really have to worry about it. But it looks like Nick Cannon does have to worry about it because he has been dropped over some anti-Semitic comments. They weren't just anti-Semitic comments. They were very hateful comments. They were racist comments. But a lot of people are coming to Nick Cannon's defense. He is getting a lot of free will when it comes to a lot of these racial comments. This is Good Morning America reporting on this entire thing.
With that new fallout for Nick Cannon, the actor, rapper, and television host fired by Viacom overnight following racial and anti-Semitic comments he made on his podcast. Eva Pilgrim has those details for us. Good morning, Eva.
Good morning, Robin. Cannon has been on social media tweeting both messages of support and attack. The network saying they fired Cannon after he promoted hateful speech on his podcast on YouTube. Overnight backlash for Nick Cannon after these controversial comments on his podcast, Cannon's Class.
We are the Semitic people. When we are the same people that who they want to be, that's our birthright.
Viacom CBS announcing they are cutting ties with the comedian.
But what about the big ear of corn?
Who they have had.
So Nick Cannon, I'm not going to play all of the report from Good Morning America because obviously they will copyright this whole thing, but that's fine. There's plenty of reports right now about the Nick Cannon situation. The reason why I want to do a really quick video about this is because of the simple hypocrisy that's going on right now. I think that it's a good thing that Viacom dropped Nick Cannon. I think that he should lose a lot of his sponsors. I think he should be losing a lot of his income sources over these comments. I do believe in the freedom of speech, but I don't believe in racism either. I don't believe that anyone should be saying they're better than anyone else. Like I said, it is a double-edged sword when it comes to racist comments. On one side of the coin or one side of the sword, I will defend anyone's right to say whatever they want to say. However, when someone is backing you financially or when you are representing someone else, it's basically upon them to say, if you're saying stuff that we just don't like, that doesn't represent us and who we are, then we have the right to drop you. And of course, that's going to get a lot of media attention as well. But at the same time, I do support Nick Cannon's right to say these things, as disgusting as they are. I do not want I don't want him to be canceled. I want him to have the right to say whatever he wants. Now, we're going to play this podcast and these comments here in a moment. But I think this is a huge opportunity to see where it's kind of hard to describe, but we live in a country right now where a lot of people are saying that it is the most racist country on earth, and this is simply not true. It is it's hyperbole of the highest order. There's so many different countries out there that not only still have slavery, but also their governments encourage the killing of other races, including white people in South Africa. So there are so many types of examples that you could see in other countries where racism, true racism, is alive and well. And in this country, we have this oversensitivity to everything where we have become hypochondriacs when it comes to racism. Everything that might be some sort of symbol of hate or some sort of symbol of degradation or any kind of microaggression or anything of the sorts has to be squashed. It has to be canceled. This isn't a video where I am trying to admonish or chastise Nick Cannon for his comments. I believe that he has 100% right to say whatever he wants. Now, whether he gets, financial repercussions for that, that's really based on what happens, and it looks like he already has. But I do not believe that he should be shut up. But I think the hypocrisy needs to be shown for what it is, because I know a lot of these comments come from a hatred for this country, a hatred for our ideals as a nation, and for the past that this country has gone through and that we have paid the prices for. We have made amends in a large part for a lot of those things that we have done, not only to the Black Americans out there, but also Native Americans and others as well. But the simple fact of the matter is that this country is the least racist country on earth, and the police are not racist either. There have been plenty of studies, and just the simple statistics will prove that the police are not racist, and America as a whole is not racist. That is why everyone is trying to come to this country. They are breaking their necks, literally, bashing down the doors, trying to get into this country. And a lot of people I know are getting really tired of this narrative that this is such a hateful, self-centered, racist, misogynist country, when it's not. So many people have the opportunity to do whatever they want. If they want to go and reach to the limit and go for whatever they want to, they do have that opportunity. Now, some people's opportunities are a little bit easier than the others. If you are born into a very rich, a rich family, or you were born into a very poor family, that's not really the argument. The real argument is that we do have the ability to go and do what we want to do if we put our minds to it. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer than others. But we are not tied to our caste, as it were. We are not tied to our segmentation. But that is what the left wants to do. They want to resegment everything. They want to put everyone on the same level. They want to destroy all the corporations, even though the corporations are actually providing the services that you demand, because if the people do not demand it, then those corporations will cease to exist. So it's basically like shooting yourself in the foot, constantly making these types of arguments where you're actually, you're arguing against the spoon that feeds you. If you don't want to be fed, then refuse the spoon. You don't have to go to Amazon to get everything that you want. There's other stores out there. You don't have to go to Walmart. You don't have to do those things, but you do because it's convenient. And because it's convenient, that is why people do it, because they serve a purpose and a need. Now, you could be upset that Amazon makes so much money, more money than God himself, but that is not an argument against the existence of Amazon. Amazon should probably be paying more taxes, but there is a convoluted and complex argument to that as well, but we won't get into that. This is about Nick Cannon, so let's listen to this podcast here real quick before I start talking way too much.
then let's go to what it really is then. When we talk about the power of melanated people, when we talk about who we really are as guys, and understanding that our melanin is so powerful and it connects us in a way that the reason why they fear black, the reason why they fear is because the lack that they have of it. So then when you see what, Dr. Francis C. Welsing talked about is that fear and that
just genetic annihilation,
deficiency of when you have a person that has the lack of pigment, the lack of melanin, that they know that they will be annihilated. So therefore, however they got the power, they have the lack of compassion. That melanin comes with compassion. Melanin comes with soul. That we call it soul. We soul brothers and sisters. That's the melanin that connects us. So the people that don't have it are a little, and I'm gonna say this carefully, are a little less, and where the term actually comes from, because I'm bringing it all the way back around to Minister Farrakhan, to where they may not have the compassion or the when they were sent to the mountains of Caucasus, when they didn't have the power of the sun, that the sun then started to deteriorate them. So then they're acting out of fear. They're acting out of low self-esteem. They're acting out of a deficiency. So therefore, the only way that they can act is evil. The only way they have to rob, steal, rape, kill, and
fight or flight,
in order to survive.
Exactly.
So then these people who didn't have what we had, and when I say we, I speak of the melanated people.
Right.
They had to be savages. They had to be barbaric. Because they're in these Nordic mountains. They're in these rough, torrential environments. So they're acting as animals.
Right.
So they're the ones that are actually closer to animals. They're the ones that are actually the true savages. And then they built up such this I don't want to say warrior, but they built up such this conquering barbaric mentality.
So that was Nick Cannon being Nick Cannon. I guess that's who he was and who he is now. I mean, like I said, Nick Cannon can say whatever he wants to. He can say the most filthy, hateful stuff. And just because he's black doesn't mean that he has to be set to a different standard. He can be a racist all he wants. He can feel like he is superior to other people, and that is the definition of racism. Now, if you look at the definition of racism, and a lot of people will do this, they say, well, look at the definition of racism. Under the definition of racism, it basically says, and I'm paraphrasing, that one type of person or one section of people believe in the superiority over another, and they're typically over a minority. Typically, but not always. It's not always that way, because if it was like that, it would say it was always a minority. This idea that reversed racism does not exist is an absolute fabrication. It is another Marxist lie that is meant to divide this nation against itself. Nick Cannon is only helping that. Nick Cannon is only helping that just as much as a neo-Nazi is helping it as well. As much as neo-Nazis are talking about the bestiality of the Jew and the bestiality of the Caucasian and the white man. Nick Cannon really needs to understand, just as much as a neo-Nazi needs to understand, that there were beast men of all different types of races. And if you want to call them beastmen, if you want to say and use that term for people who are warrior-like people who fight with each other, you can fight this within each group. The Native Americans were like this. The Mongolians were like this. The Asians and the Chinese were like this. The Japanese were like this. The blacks and the Africans were like this. The Caucasians, the Europeans were like this. The Nordic countries and the Nordics and Scandinavians were like this. And this whole idea of melanin as being a some sort of superiority complex. Melanin comes basically from when your skin is able to adapt more to the rays of the sun. It creates more melanin, and it makes your skin darker. This what happens to pretty much everyone if they live closer to the equator, and it's how humans have moved across this earth through thousands and thousands of years of, I would say, microevolution. I do not believe in macroevolution. I do believe in microevolution and the movement of peoples over different continents. And Nick Cannon wants to use this. Now, of course, he is an adherent of Louis Farrakhan, who is an anti-Semite. He is the one that has referred to the Jews as termites. And I believe that Nick Cannon, of course, if he is an adherent of Louis Farrakhan, also believes that the Jewish people are termites, just as much as Hitler himself believed that the Jewish people needed to be eradicated. Now, there's a lot of this isn't something about World War II or Hitler himself or neo-Nazis or even Nick Cannon, really. It is an argument based on the reality that we are all the same. We are all have the same blood running through our veins, and we are equal when it comes to the eyes of our Creator. And people keep forgetting that. The further that we get away from the actual truth of our Creator and the type of spiritual being that we are, the more material we are, the more humanist that we are. People that are humans say that when you speak of humanism, it is something that is a good thing, but it is not a good thing because it denies the spiritual realm. It denies the spiritual autonomy of us. Because if you're a humanist, you are naturally a materialist, and a materialist will believe that that we are all predetermined, that we cannot make our own free will choices, that we are all bound to our actions, and everything is a chemical process. Nick Cannon and the rest of the left are bound to these types of things. Now, Nick Cannon could call himself a spiritualist, and he calls, following the old ways and believing that they are the actual lost tribe of, the Israelites and so forth and so on. We have seen this group before, especially with the Covington kids, because they were the group that were antagonizing the Covington kids. Unfortunately, the cameras were pointing in the wrong direction. They weren't pointing in the direction of the black Israelites, and how they were calling the kids less than human. This is what Nick Cannon really believes. He believes that white people and Jews are less than human. It's the same thing, at least in part, what the Nazis believed about Judaism. And for a group that keeps saying never again, this is exactly what they are doing. They are falling into the same traps of the Marxist ideology. Marxism is all about death and destruction and the glorification of the state and governmental power over the human condition. The government does not want you to have a choice. The government does not want you to think. Nick Cannon does not want you to think. It only takes a cursory type of research to understand how asinine his comments are, how racist they are, how wrong they are, how disgusting they are. But he still has the right to say those things. And I'm glad that he does have that right to say those things, that he is not in jail for saying those things. That would be abhorrent, and I would certainly fight for him to, if something like that did happen to him, as much as he hates me, because I am white. I'm actually part Native American, but who cares? As much as Nick Cannon hates other people, he should have the right to say those hateful things. You don't have to listen to them. But we have to take these things and put them into the light of day to disinfect them. Because both sides, the neo-Nazis and those on this Black Lives Matter movement that have forwarded the neo-Marxist type of philosophy and ideologies, those who are actually marching and protesting, and they don't know anything about Marxism, and they don't care about, they want everything to be fair and equal and free. I understand, and I am on the same side as you. But I am so sorry that a Marxist organization has usurped an actual good cause. And that is really what it all is at the end of the day. We have an insurrection of good ideas, and they have been perverted by the devil himself. And that is where we are right now. Everything has been perverted. Our entertainment has been perverted. Our ideologies has been perverted. The idea of a free America has been perverted. We have forgotten about all of these things. I'll see you the next one. Have a great day. Bye.